Okay, so yesterday morning, Kimberly took her purse and went shopping. She first spent 2/5 of her money at the mall. She counted her money. Later, she went to the movies and spent 1/6 of what was left after her shopping. If she ended up with $150, how much money did she start with? That's an interesting question. Let's let S be, well, my S's look like fives. I'm just going to go with an X here. Starting amount. Because that's what they're asking us for, right? How much did she start with? So I'm just going to call that X. Whatever they want to know, just let that be your X or whatever letter you prefer. So X is the starting amount. Now, how are we going to go through this? Well, she first spent 2/5 of her money. How much, what fraction was left? If she spent 2/5, what fraction is left? What is left after spending 2/5? So to answer that, and make it hopefully make good sense for you, because this is the heartbeat of what we're going to do in this homework section is fractions, lots and lots of fractions. Let me draw a pie here and break it into 5 pieces if I can. Sort of close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. And it's telling us that she spent 2/5. So let's do that. This will be the part she spent. So she spent 2/5. Leaves, what does this leave? What is left? What portion is left?
3/5.
Yeah, does everybody see 3/5 is left? That makes sense, doesn't it? If you eat 2/5 of a pie, then 3/5 of it is left. If she spent 2/5 of her starting amount of money, then 3/5 of her starting amount of money is left. So what's left? 3/5 of the starting amount, right? What is left is 3/5 of the starting amount, meaning 3/5. Now of, do you know that of is always times? And the starting amount, we call that X. Is this making sense so far? Of is always times. That'll be really helpful if you're just really clear on that. In word problems, of is always multiplied, it's times. So if she spent 2/5, that means 3/5 of her starting amount of money is left. 3/5 of 3/5 times the starting amount, X, we call that X, is what's left. So what's left after her first spending is 3/5 of 3/5 times the starting amount. Now she goes again. Later, she spent 1/6 of what was left. You know, she counted her money and spent 1/6 of what was left. So we're going to do this again, aren't we? Right? The second time, we've got another pie. Come on down here. Whoops, I didn't have my drawing tool on. That's my freehand drawing. There's the tool helping me. All right, so so break this into sixths. And she, what did she spend? 1/6, right? Yeah. So come on up here. Just that right there. This is the part spent 1/6. And so, of course, we all know what is left is 5/6, clearly, right? She spent 1/6. She left, what's left over is 5/6. So Now remember, this is what's left right here after her first spending. After the first spending is 3/5 X. So what does that mean? After the second spending, what is left is 5/6, right? 5/6 of what? Whatever was left after the first spending. Are you tracking with me? This making sense? What is left after the second spending? 5/6 of the first spending amount that was left. In other words, 5/6 of is times. What was left after the first spending? Well, right up here it says after the first spending, 3/5 X. So here's what is left after the second spending. 5/6 times 3/5 X. And that, they tell us, ends up to be $150. This equals $150. It ends at $150. There's our equation. Now we just need to solve for X because X is the starting amount. So do you see what I did there? I just said, okay, she spent 2/5. That leaves 3/5 of times the starting amount, X. That's what's left after the first spending. And then I take that amount, that 3/5 X, and then I multiply it by 5/6. Why? Because she spent 1/6, which leaves 5/6. So I'm always going to what is left, notice, right? She spent 2/5, so that leaves 3/5. She spent 1/6, so that leaves 5/6. So this is the amount left, which equals $150. So there's the equation we need to solve. We need to solve 5/6 times 3/5 X is 150. How do we solve it? Well, these cancel. Remember cross-canceling with fractions? And 3 goes into 6 2 times. So what are we left at? There's really a 1 up here. So 1/2 X is 150. Did you track with all that cross-canceling? Now, how do we finish getting X alone? We got to get rid of that half, right? We got to do the opposite of the half. What's the opposite of the half?
2/1.
Yeah, multiplied by the upside down fraction. 2/1. Cross cancels, huh? So X is, and this really, you don't need to put the over 1 here because 150 is not a fraction. Just 2 times 150, $300. She must have started with $300. There we go. So do you see how we did it? Let's run through it again one more time. So Kimberly did 2 spendings. First, she spent 2/5, which left 3/5. So that's what's left after the first spending is the 3/5 after the first spending. And then she spent 1/6, which leaves 5/6 of that. 5/6 of times the amount that was left after the first spending. So 5/6 times 3/5, that equals the 150 that was left in the end. And so then to solve that, we just cross canceled. It's a 1/2 X, multiply both sides by 2, 300. How could we check that answer? Could we check, what if this was your exam and you're like, I want to make sure I get these things right? How could I check it? It'd be pretty easy, wouldn't it? We're saying she starts with $300. And what did she do right away? I'm losing track now. She spent 2/5, then 1/6. So she spent 2/5. Well, you know how to do that. Take 300 times 2/5 on your calculator. It'll be 120. So she spent 120. So then you take 300 minus the 120, and that'll leave 180s left. And then you take the 180, and she spent a 1/6. And that'll be $30 spent. And so that then you'll be 180 minus the $30 spent equals 150 left. And that's true. That's what they told us she had left. Check. It worked. See how that check worked? I just ran through it. I said, look, she started with 300, spent 2/5. That's 120. Subtract that, 180's left. Spent 1/6. That's 30 spent. Subtract 30, 150. Yep. Check. It all checks out. So that way you can know you're right. It's always nice on a test to be sure you're right by checking.